Welcome to the gorgeous for a historic day in Berkeley, California. It's the first ever ACC meet at Haas Pavilion, a top 25 showdown between the Clemson Tigers and the California Golden Bears. The Bears, NCAA runner-ups last year, Clemson in their first year ever going to the NCAA regionals. It is a special afternoon in Northern California. Well, hello everybody and welcome to ACC Gymnastics along with Evan Hyder. My name is Tim Swartz, and for the Cal Bears, they had their best season ever last year, and they have some stellar gymnasts starting with 4 all-arounders.
The Bears are bolstered by 4 all-around competitors, like you said, all of whom we expect to see on every event tonight against Clemson. Here we take a look, starting with Maya Lazan, 13th in the national all-around rankings. Gonna see her working just as she does here on floor exercise. There's also Maddie Williams. She is known for her prowess on uneven bars. We're gonna see her hopefully replicate a stuck vault from last week as well. MJ Frazier, traditionally super strong in balance beam and floor exercise, sitting with Williams at 21st in the all-around. And rounding out this quartet is Ella Cesario at 41st. She has a new first pass on floor this season, hoping to deliver today for the Bears. And the story goes Lazan and on when it comes to Maya. She has new uneven bars construction this year. We saw her break into the 9-9 range in week 2. She's familiar with the sticks. Tim, on every other apparatus, I would say outside of bars, we should be on 10 watch.
Well, this is Team 52 for the Cal Bears. They think this might be their best team ever. On the other side for Clemson, they're just starting their program. It's their second year, but Amy Smith and company, they are so excited about year 2.
And they're getting excited and having to build around an outage from Rebecca Wells. She is their star all-arounder. Last season had all the accolades, all the acclaim. She is currently competing only on uneven bars, coming back from an early season ankle sprain. They're working to get her back, and Coach Smith said that she is so important to this program.
All right, Rebecca Wells, one of 6 transfers from Utah State that followed Amy Smith from Ogden all the way across the country to Clemson. It is a dual meet format, first ever ACC duel for the California Golden Bears. 6 routines, 5 will count.
Tim, we can expect the unexpected in terms of lineups. Both coaching staffs told us they take this 4-minute touch into account when building their finalized plans. So whatever is happening right now as a gymnast are first touching the apparatus could have ultimate influence on who we see on the competition floor. But as you see here, Cal will follow the traditional Olympic order, and they will flip-flop with Clemson throughout the day.
But what an experience for Amy Smith. She said it's the best experience of her life building this Clemson program. Year 0, she was training those 6 transfers as red shirts. Year 1 was their first year. They went to the NCAA regionals. This is year number 2 for the Tigers.
She is building something big in Clemson and talks about how the university has just rallied behind this program in every sense. And it's not just what's happening in their home arena, it's what everything that broadcasts out into the gymnastics world. They want their leotards to start a conversation. They want their choreography to start a conversation. They're trying to establish themselves in every way possible as an undeniable piece of gymnastics history.
They made a statement, 196.325. That was the score in their first ever NCAA meet, a record. And by the way, they had more than 8,000 people at Little John Coliseum for that first meet in every meet last year.
Super exciting, and Coach Smith talked about the energy that crowd creates, and she wants to create the best atmosphere in college gymnastics. I think that's a goal of every head coach. They haven't broken into 196 range so far this season, and we'll get into more of the scoring variation that we've seen throughout the nation so far this year.
Well, for California, it is team number 52. And for co-head coaches, Justin Howell, Liz Crandell Howell, this is the best team that they have had for Justin Howell's 14th year in Berkeley.
And Justin specifically helms this first event that we'll see Cal on. They are constructing year over year over year these 10.0 start values that they can rely on. As we mentioned off the top, they have depth like never before. So they invite the opportunity to give athletes opportunities to become more and more comfortable in competitive settings. We'll actually see that today with sophomore Jaden Silvers getting the 6th slot as planned today.
Maddie Williams, last time out for the Bears, won the vault at UC Davis, scoring a 9.9. And Justin Howell telling me specifically on the vault, this is the most depth that they have had since he's been at Cal.
And this is exactly what they need from Maddie Williams. What she did last weekend, the 9.9 leadoff for a stuck Yurchenko full. This is what Maddie Williams has been working for her entire career at Cal. She needs to get comfortable minimizing landing deductions on a Yurchenko full. You put these in your lineup for a reason. Here we go. Leadoff sets the tone for the day. Great block. Tiny scoop back on the Yurchenko full. Not as lights out as last week for Williams, but super respectable. I would put that right in the 9.85 range. Very strong start for Cal.
Now, Maddie Williams, 7-time All-American, and it was a historic year last year for the Bears. She scored the 3rd most points ever in the history of NCAA gymnastics in a season.
I mean, I feel like any Cal athlete you look at, it was a record-setting contribution to the year, and that just speaks to the all-around prowess. What the Howells really want to curate and cultivate is a culture of everybody's doing everything unless there's a very compelling reason not to.
But here's the ACC Newcomer of the Year last year, Lily Lippett, on the bars for the Tigers.
Waiting for the green flag here. She has elite gymnastics experience, so we'll see that in the quality of her work. And Coach Smith notes that she's kind of an indispensable team member in the way she sets the table for her teammates.
First high school signing in Clemson history, all ACC last year on the bars.
Starts off the routine, mounting to high bar. Actually comes in a little close. Toan Ray, named after US and Michigan great Elise Ray. The bail overshoot was soft in the elbows, looked a little off kilter, but wow, outstanding display of a handstand there. Full pirouette into the double tuck. Tiny hop forward, short of rotation. The other note I have in that full pirouette that preceded the double tuck is going to be getting right on top of the bar here. You saw her toes came a little bit past that perfect vertical, but set herself up, saw the landing, still tiny bit short of rotation. Now quickly to Kyan Mayhew. This is going to be their first 10-0. Yurchenko 1.5. Talk about minimizing landing deduction from Mayhew. That is exactly the type of second slot vault that the Bears want.
By the way, Maddie Williams, the score just came across 9.825.
All right, so my gauge is 0.025 off. We'll recalibrate and see here, but important to look here. Watch her legs on the table, tiny bit of separation before snapping them together, and I would say a little bit unexpected of a landing, but the thing she did very well is make sure her shoulders were just slightly in front of her hips, so that tiny hop was how she was able to land that one.
Real quick, Mayhew, 9.95, her first ever collegiate routine on the vault. She had a 9.9 in the vault in the NCAA championships. Here's Dakota Berry. She's a California native from Southern California, and she won the bars last week with Clemson at Pitt at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse last weekend.
Yeah, Dakota's trying to establish herself as one of those undeniable bar scores that they can count on. Interestingly, Clemson hasn't notched a 9.9 score on any event so far this season. Lily Lippett comes in at 9.7. I would say even keel there. The deductions were evident. Dakota Berry mounts to the low bar, handstand toe on, toe off. Maloney, you see the legs come apart, feet flex. Same thing on the Pac Salto transitioning, but maintaining good pressure against the bars. Quality swing with straight arms, cast straddle handstand up here. Watch for the release point into this double leg. Allowed her to float up, but the landing, we're going to zero in. You want to minimize and optimize. I'm going to say all those eyes all day long. Right here as she's setting up, taps through the bottom, really winds up here. We talk about the eyes. All right, so here, boom, 1, 2. Optimization is down in that regard. Really want to settle and bend your knees a tiny bit more and really mitigate any additional deduction there.
And Hugh, 9.875. Here's El Cesario, who was just so strong for Cal last year, all the way to the NCAA finals.
Another athlete that Liz Crandall Hall noted coming into her own. Watch the body position off the table. Wow! From Ella Cesario. Justin Howell is hyped up. I talked about the body position, flat hips, getting able to see the landing. We'll take a second look here. Watch the pre-flight legs together, zeros in. Yep, tiny leg separation, then snaps them back together. No doubt on that landing for Cesario, and it is incredible to see year over year the improvement of these Yurchenko fulls. Previously, Williams, even Cesario, had doubts, and we would see that manifest in the landings. But to know that they have the potential, they felt the feeling of sticking that ball cold, amazing.
Ended up giving Barry a 9.725. Here's Eve Jackson.
We'll take a look at what Eve has here. Crucial, I would say, across every event for Clemson, they want that leadoff to be in the 9-8 range. They really want to start there. So momentum needs to shift. It could start here with Jackson. Straddled Jaeger into the overshoot. Really fluid work, lacking a little bit of dynamics. And you see how she taps over the top. Her feet come apart just a little bit. Really needs to zero in here. Full out, scooch back on the dismount for Jackson. That's their strongest routine so far, though. On the apparatus, off the apparatus. Really put a lot of strength and skill on display. Squat on back up to the high bar as we look at this dismount sequence. Quick handstand there. You'll also notice the best handstands we'll see today will be locked out and almost pause on top of the bar. She did a quick one there as she did that tucked full out again. Another one. We're going to see that dismount from other athletes today. The compare and contrast between these athletes is going to be evident. She was loose in the ankles and feet there.
Cesario got a 9.9.
Amazing work for Ella Cesario. This is another 10.0 vault here. It's elite level skills as MJ Frazier, former world team, put on display. It's a Yurchenko double full, and we're back to the Ises already. It was a hop back and a hop into place. So there's going to be landing deductions that are going to bring that score down. I do really appreciate how square she is on the table. Still twists very quickly off the table, but doesn't incur any directional deduction. So I think there's benefit to be seen there, but MJ definitely knows what she needs to improve on week over week.
Score one up for Eve Jackson, Los Angeles native, 9.8. Her uncle, Deshaun Jackson, one of the all-time great athletes in Cal history. Hannah Clark up for the Clemson Tigers.
Crucial for Clemson, that 9-8 range. They've got to start that party up. We'll see if Hannah Clark can keep it going. Mounting to the high bar. First handstand, tiny bit quick, blind change. Pike Jaeger, love the flow. This back half of their lineup, they're really starting to swing more freely. Again, that compare and contrast across athletes. Finesses that handstand. I would say the shoulders were a little bit back. Floaty double layout. Zeros in on it. We're gonna take another look here because Amy Smith has something to smile about. She took that way up in the air, and the only adjustment, now it's not just about moving your feet on the dismount. We'll take a look in a second though. Floaty Pike Jaeger, and you saw how fluidly she moved down to the low bar. Kept things moving. Rhythm is also something the judges are taking into considerations when evaluating these routines. Almost hyperextends her arms on that last high bar handstand right here. Bends at the waist, digs the feet in. It's still an adjustment because she's having to compensate and maintain her balance there. So there will be a minimal deduction for that.
Hannah Clark, Southern California native, excited to be out here on the West Coast. Maya Lazan on the vault.
Yurchenko 1.5 from Maya. On the tips of her toes on the landing. It's what we've come to expect from Maya Lozon and her Yurchenko 1.5. Solid one in the bank. We would always love to see that signature Lozon stick. Today, not there, but I think following a 9.75 from Frazier before her, gets a solid one in the bank. So it's going to be incurring deduction for the hop. Amazing angle here. A little bit far back on the table. Look at the distance she gets. So the hop and then hangs on, still adjusting there. So the judges are always looking for deductions.
Lozon had that 10 in the regional final here in Berkeley last year. That was the last time she competed at Haas.
Truly. Settling back in 2025. And here she is, the superstar herself, Rebecca Wells. We talked off the top about how much she meant to this program in its first year. This is the only event she's competed on so far this year. Starts with a handstand half pirouette, Tkachev down to the low bar. It's a little bit loose in her body shape on that overshoot. But I would say, again, keeping that trend alive with swinging more freely in the back half of this rotation. And that is something they desperately need. Tight and tidy dismounts from their athletes. No doubt there from Rebecca Wells in the 5th slot. Getting another look here, keeping things moving down through the overshoot. Coach Smith watching on. Into the dismount, watch where she lets go. You can see her body rise up, toes come up. Oh, the knee, foot, and ankle form. So great, exemplary work there from Wells.
First gymnast to ever compete for Clemson. Just such a stalwart, Rebecca Wells. Here's Jaden Silvers, junior from Southern California.
Look at that. 9.825 for Lozon before her. So they need a big one from Jaden, and this is great pressure. She's worked in and out of this lineup in the past. We'll see what she does today. Bounding step forward for Silvers. Lessons learned here, okay? She definitely had enough power, and now it's about controlling that. The other thing that has to be going on in these Cal athletes' minds is they know they have more Yurchenko 1.5s in the bank. So the pressure is on in these competitive opportunities. You've got to embrace it, take your time, watch right there. Legs are definitely apart, and I would say her knees continue that softness. On the landing, you saw right at that moment of impact, her shoulders way in front of her hips, has to quickly bound forward and get it under control. Not how the Bears wanted to round things out, but it's a reality that they're going to work through.
They gave Wells a 9.85. Here's Quinn Cool, who has really stepped up for Clemson this year.
3-event athlete for Clemson, and Coach Amy Smith said she worked so hard over the summer and through preseason, and she's thrilled she's getting the opportunity to compete across. Everything pretty standard so far for Quinn Cool. When she can put the exclamation point like that double layout on the end of the rotation, I think it actually compensates very well. I think Wells was tighter and more crisp. Cool, like I said, kept everything in line as she needed to on the apparatus. Swings really quickly. Bit of an early release, but snaps her body down. You saw the legs separated throughout the double layout there. We should expect to see that hover right around the 9.8 mark, but look at that. Hannah Clark, 9.875. Great emphasis from the 4th slot there.
This is Maya Wiley. It's the exhibition, by the way. Silver's got a 9.625, so they'll drop that score.
We talked about the Yurchenko 1.5s in the bank. Maya Wiley is one of them. Oh! With a statement in the exhibition slot. The Cal coaches could not speak enough about how important it is to feel like your exhibition slot matters, counts. They want to see how you're embracing that. The bear head. It hasn't come out many times yet today, but great to see Maya Wiley get an exhibition rep and deliver.
It's early in the year, but Cal, I say with quotation marks, their worst event maybe statistically has been vault. That's still 11th best in the country. It is all around such a solid Cal program.
And you talk about the opportunities to move the lineup around, shift, get people experience. Cal is very aware it is still January and there is time to develop and have opportunities like that.
This is Lauren Rutherford on the exhibition.
Toe on, toe off into the Tkachev.
Cool got a 9.875, by the way.
Toes come apart in the hip cast. Tight over the top through the Giants, winding up here. double layout dismount, rises up nicely, but you did see her take several movements. It was almost a scoot, a hop, a step, all the above for Rutherford. I would say she should rely on that great technique that allows the double layout to come up. She'll be able to settle into the landing a little bit.
Well, it is really tight through one rotation. A great performance by Clemson on the bars.
Yeah, I mean, Cal, their opportunities for improvement are undeniable. You saw some really high highs and some opportunities for improvement.
Second rotation coming up after this. Slim lead for Cal early on here at Haas. Well, after the first rotation, slim lead for number 7 California against the 24th ranked Clemson Tigers. Well, you see in the beautiful Bay Area, there's Memorial Stadium. Reminder, Monday, the Huddle crew will reveal the 2025 ACC football schedule. They'll break down each team and look at key weeks and specific matchups. Coverage of this 2-hour special begins at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on the ACC network, the ESPN app. Also, the first hour will be on ESPN2. Early on here at Haas, lots of fun for the fans. First time the home fans have seen Cal since the regional final that the Golden Bears won last year en route to a runner-up finish at the NCAA championships. And of course, the fans always love watching Ella Cesario.
Ella Cesario was exemplary. Maddie Williams did it last week, and Cesario took her turn last week on the Yurchenko full. This one starts out of a 9.95. She zeroes in. So many great things to look at here. The position off the table, she rockets up and then maintains that completely laid out straight. No bend at the hips, and the 9.9 reward there within 0.05 away from perfection. I think that's well rewarded.
Cesario, media studies major, and she wins the vault on the Cal side at least with the Clemson to go with a 9.9. We'll have the second rotations in just a few. Who doesn't love dogs? Who doesn't love ACC gymnastics? Back after this. Getting set up for the second rotation here at Haas Pavilion. California and Clemson for the Golden Bears. Justin Howell, co-head coach with Liz Crandell Howell, his wife, and Justin Howell grew up in Palo Alto. He's had such an interesting background. He went down from Palo Alto to San Jose State where he competed. He went from San Jose State to Santa Cruz. He loved the beach. He spent a bunch of years there, came up to Cal as an assistant, took over, and this is his 14th season. And we mentioned earlier, it's the 52nd season of Cal Gymnastics, and they think this might be their best.
Look at that. I mean, starting the season at number 2 nationally, coming out of last year's national championship, Justin Howell is a gymnastics nerd. He loves everything gymnastics, loves the strategy behind it, loves the technique, loves teaching, loves coaching. He's kind of the renaissance man, if you will, of gymnastics, and I think it's just a testament to what he and co-head coach Elizabeth Crandall Howell have created here since 2012.
He told me he loves teaching from the ground up. We'll kind of talk about what that means in a moment. Is Clemson just about ready for the vaults? Trinity Brown to lead things off, one of the 6 Utah State transfers. She had a career best 9.9 last week at Pitt on the vault.
It's another Yurchenko full, so exactly the strategy that we saw from Ella Cesario. Trinity is going to want to zero in on this landing. She can start things in a big way, and the reality is here, on paper coming into this, there was a big distance between Cal and Clemson on paper. But when a meet like this is so close, the pressure is on, so we'll see how everybody delivers. Very nice pop off the table. Scoots back, but well within the directional lines on that vault for Trinity Brown. I think it was also big news in terms of height and distance. Ooh, that's a good entry onto the table. You see as she's bringing those feet down, she separates those legs a tiny bit onto her heels, but maintains control after the scoot back. Happy with that one to be out the gate on vault.
Again, it's early in the season, but Cal, known for the bars, they're 8th in the country in terms of scoring on the bars thus far this year.
We should definitely see scoring improvement in terms of event total between vault and uneven bars. Maya was on here. We talked about the new routine construction. She leads off with a beautiful tight floaty pack salto down to the low bar. Van Leeuwen up to high, tucked, half in, half out, step to the side. Maya was on cracked into that 9-9 range in week 2. She's not going to be there this week, but really happy to set the table in that way. Toe on, toe off, up to a Maloney half. It's called the Van Leeuwen. Look at the tight form. Just one scoot back with that left leg for Lazan.
National Breakout Performer of the Year last year, Maya Lazan. Quinn Cool, she scored a 9.875 on the bars in rotation number 1. She's on the vault gear in rotation number 2.
We talked about how crucial it was for Clemson to get reps in and really pursue those 9-9 marks. We haven't still seen them notch any yet this season, but Quinn being at a 9.875, just another testament to the hard work that Coach Smith was so vehement that we knew about.
Trinity Brown, they just gave her score. It was a 9.8.
9.8, solid start. Remember off the top, Tim, I said they're going to want to start every rotation with a 9.8 number to increase confidence and let the rest of the lineup fly a little more freely, go for those big vault landings. Now, vault is a little bit, you've got to balance a lot of things simultaneously in your mind. You want enough power and rotation to be able to propel yourself up without getting out of control. Let's see how she contacts the table. Yurchenko full, step back. Now, I would say in comparison to Trinity, you saw right there, not as much rise up off the table, patience in the twist. I would actually say she might not have even gotten a full push off the table, but keeps it tight, keeps it together. You can tell that Quinn Poole almost goes on autopilot. She's like, this is what I do, day in, day out, Yurchenko full.
So Lazan got a 9.825. Here's MJ Frazier. She's from just outside of Philadelphia. She's a huge Eagles fan, and she's waiting for when this meet's over to see how the Eagles did today.
A true Jersey girl with allegiances to the Eagles. Starts with the Maloney to pack salto. Tiny bit of ankle separation on the pack, but I like how she arches her technique there. Back up to the high bar. I would say rushes that final handstand a little bit. She's setting up double leg. No doubt in anyone's mind whether or not that was a stick from MJ. Really solid cleanup, I would say. Her confidence increased as that routine went on. Half pirouette down on the low bar, sets it back up. Winds up for the dismount. You saw right there, her toes were past vertical on that final handstand, but keeps her cool, keeps the composure, allows the double layout to rise up. Wow, she has such a great stretch position.
Justin Howell telling me consistent from the second she came on campus. MJ Frazier setting the NCAA scoring record last year, 673 points. Quinn Cool got a 9.775. Here's Tara Walsh.
Tara Walsh hit a big vault in the 2-minute touch. So let's see what she has in store here. Yurchenko 1.5 gets it safely to her feet, 4-minute touch, excuse me, steps to the side. So we talk about the directional lines that you see on either side of that landing mat. They serve as a suggestion for the judges to take a deduction in terms of alignment. It's very clearly that she's out of alignment there. I would say that's gutsy for Clemson, though. In their second season as a program, having a Yurchenko 1.5 in the third slot of your lineup, they're pushing the envelope. And this ACC gymnastics, they invited more people to the party this year. And so that type of level, that performance, keeps the rest of the conference and the nation really striving to have those 10-0 vaults.
When Amy Smith found out Cal and Stanford were going to join the ACC, she said, we got to get better, faster. And one of the reasons why MJ Frazier, 9.9, she scored on the bars. Here's Ella.
Ella Cesario has the momentum on the day. Let's see. Looking here, She has a straddled Jaeger from high to low and really consistent overshoot, maintaining the momentum. Really great handstand up on top of the bar. Tiny hop for Cesario, but on the apparatus, she was phenomenal. You talk about the dynamism and floatiness throughout all of her elements. Watch this. A confident squat on up to the high bar.
And notice in the middle of her routine, the music went out and something happened here at Haas Pavilion, and she was not affected.
Expect the unexpected, and as long as she stays in her focused state, she kept everything right on track, and I'm seeing a 9.925 over there in spite of the adversity.
Yeah, you saw in the background those pink screens, there was like a power surge that we heard, and now, Amy Smith, the head coach of Clemson's, coming over to the table to make sure everything is okay. It did not affect Ella at all. Wow.
Yeah, that's great, and like I said, she has that confidence coming in on vault, really zeroed in on exactly what she needed to do on uneven bars, and there was no stopping the Cesario train at that point.
Now look at the focus from Madison Minner after the 9.75 from Walsh. Minner walk-on from Anderson, South Carolina. That's where Clemson had to practice up until this year. It's 30 minutes away from Clemson. Here she goes on the vault.
It's going to be a tucked Yurchenko 1.5. Contacts the table. One pace forward for Minner. I would say week over week, she's getting more consistent and comfortable with that landing. And look at that. In the third and fourth slots, 10-0 vaults from Clemson. That level is being pushed undeniably.
You were saying it all week. You wanted to see both of these teams swing big.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing stopping either of them from trying to put up the biggest number possible. And all the coaches were also emphatic with, we can't control what the judges are going to do, but we can't control our gymnastics. And sometimes you can't control the power either.
Maddie Williams, number 12 in the country thus far on the bars.
Great floaty pack salto down to the low bar. I mentioned it off the top. This is what we have come to know and expect from Maddie. Best Van Leeuwen we've seen all day. Can she find it? Safely to her feet, but a tiny step back. Holds the dismount. It's important, Tim. This year, you have to clearly show your finished landing position. So arms completely extended overhead, 1 second, and then salute. Judges will be looking for anything else. Van Leeuwen back up to high bar. Finesses that handstand up on top. The rise there. Wow, Maddie Williams. Shoulders a tiny bit behind the hips. Able to minimize the deduction, just a tiny hop back.
From Kent, Washington, there are 2 regionals on the West Coast. Last year there was one in Berkeley. This year, Salt Lake City, Seattle. That's kind of the goal for Cal to get there. Also, talking to Justin Howell, he wants a top 8 overall seed. That is kind of the biggest goal as Eve Jackson, the LA native, ready at the vault. She's
following Madison Minner's 9.8. I talked about that score being crucial. They need to build on those numbers once they get them in. Yurchenko 1.5. Not going to be able to build that today, but I'll talk about something exemplary from Eve Jackson there. It was the tightest form that we've seen from anyone in their vault lineup. Obviously, the landing deductions are going to be incurred. She was a bit out of control. Those shoulders were way ahead. But watch here. She makes contact very tight. Tiny bit of ankle form coming over the top. Keeps it under control. And the story continues. Another 10-0 vault. So Clemson learning some lessons here.
Casey Brown, East Bay native from Albany, had a 9.9 last week at the Davis Quad, her best score on the bars.
Co-head coach Liz Crandall-Hall said she is so proud of Casey owning her ability. It is elegant, it is beautiful, it is unique in the state of NCAA gymnastics. And this dismount really speaks to that. Front pike half. Zeroes in on it for Casey Brown. Really like her confidence that Liz Crandall-Hall was talking about. Years past, she could have gotten a little nervous, a little tentative. Really shows it off here. Does the toe on Shaposhnikova half, called the Van Leeuwen, up to high bar right here. This is a vulnerable spot in Casey's routine. quick handstand there. I don't think she hit vertical, but really puts the final point of emphasis on it with that dismount. Feet are staggered a little bit, but as long as you scoot those feet together, bring the heels together, no additional deductions.
It was a
Talking about maybe that final handstand before the dismount, she was like, but handled it well.
It was a 9.625 for Eve Jackson. And here's Maggie Holman.
Maggie Holman rounding it out. Handspring pike front half entry. Really appreciate the drive. She actually almost is in a layout position through the majority of that vault. But the compensation comes in on the landing. We're gonna get another look here, and let's take a look at her chest position when she's landing. Another 10-0 vault in the final position there, really wide with the hands on the table. Chest position, I take it back. It was actually pretty straight up and down. Had some leg and form and foot issues in the air. Another competitive rep, another 10.0 vault. Wow, Clemson is really coming to play.
Yeah, Amy Smith made a point to tell us Maggie Holman's really stepped up. They gave Casey Brown a 9.875 on the bars. And here's one of the standouts for the Cal Bears, senior Jordan Kane.
Jordan Kane, unfortunately falling off on that toe on Tkachev. She has not yet had a ton of competitive experience on the uneven bars, but we mentioned it off the top. Something that is so important to this Cal program is that if you have the ability, it's safe, you're healthy, to be training all around, they want all of their athletes to do that. That comes in on the basics across every event. And Jordan Kane was not competing on bars. She's getting this opportunity in her senior year. And it's important for her to feel this feeling, get that experience. She has solid scores in front of her. So another opportunity to take something into consideration, what she'll carry away from today. Repeats the skill on an unfortunate replication. Does not touch the apparatus there, so unfortunately won't get credit for the skill. She's gonna continue on, but we can expect to see this score be significantly lower. Working well here again. Jordan Kane winding it up. Beautiful stretch in the double layout. I would call that landing tidy. But her mentality to finish out, gutsy performance. But every gymnast is that type A perfectionist. We're chasing it. We're chasing that 10.
There's so many special student athletes here at Cal. Jordan Kane, one of them, started her own meal prep business, had the highest GPA on the Cal gymnastics team. All right, here's Kate Bryant, as this is an exhibition here for Clemson. They gave Holman a 9.775, as you see on our tower.
You saw that arsenal of 10.0 vaults that Clemson has to choose from. I like to think of those Yurchenko full options as insurance opportunities. Let's say maybe one of your 10.0 vaults isn't having a great week of training. You can put in consistent fulls for a number that may be lower, but is still safer and a better bet than Yurchenko 1.5 or a pike front.
Yeah, Clemson, their head coach, Amy Smith, she was a first-team All-American at UCLA on the vault, so it's one of their stronger rotations and one of their stronger events, and it is really, I think, as you were saying all week, you wanted to see them swing big, and that's what we saw from Clemson. They came across the country, and they're not playing.
Amy Smith was a co-captain of that 1997 first ever national championship team for UCLA. She's been at multiple locations in terms of her coaching career. She's really trying to carry that momentum into this Clemson program. You can see it in everything they're doing, holding themselves to a high level, and a standard of excellence is being established.
They had year zero back in 2023. 6 red shirts joined Amy Smith to build the program, and she was telling us there was so many things to do. She might start a day with 12 things on her list, and she ended the day with 20.
It's only more. It's only more. But she embraces that. She thinks those are great problems to have. More means that you are becoming relevant in the scene of college gymnastics. Amy Smith has taken that on, and she also talked about how the Clemson community is rallying behind.
The other thing, too, that was interesting is talking to the Cal coaches. They said it was special, and they were so excited to see Clemson add women's gymnastics when they announced it as their 21st varsity sport back in June of 2021.
And another thing that the Cal coaches are very excited about is Elise's routine that we're about to see here. Annalise, excuse me. She, again, has not gotten many competitive reps, even in the exhibition spot, but They said she has an international look about her. She's competed on big stages before, and they want to see what the judges do with how this routine is comprised.
And Newman Ache, she was a competitor at the 2022 World Championships for Trinidad and Tobago.
You saw that significantly lower score than expected for Jordan Kane. And like we saw from Maya Wiley in the exhibition slot with an unfavorable performance preceding her, it's all about mindset. How is Annalise going to embrace this opportunity? Aggressive first cast handstand on the low bar. Toe on, toe off. Maloney, tight form. Wow, floaty pack salto. Quick through the half pirouette, but keeping things moving. Rhythm, very solid so far. Want to see those feet tight on the top, but wow, the exhibitions for California today. That's where the party's happening. Wow, what an outstanding dismount. She says, oh my God, I'm saying the same thing. Annalise Newman-Ache, phenomenal performance. Lessons learned, experience gained, and you can tell teammates, regardless of where you're at in the lineup, in, out, it's a party for the Bears.
First ever duel here in beautiful Berkeley in the East Bay. Cal up as we head to the third rotation. It is always buzzing on campus here in Cal in Berkeley as it's the first ever dual meet. Cal leads Clemson slightly. Well, down in Southern California, our thoughts are with our friends down there. Help people affected by the California wildfires. Donate at redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover. Getting set for Clemson on the floor, and Cal will be on the beam. But Evan, these are some of the highlights of the second rotation as we look at them in just a moment. Just a great start for Cal and Lolario.
Was it a power surge? No, it was a Cesario surge on uneven bars. This routine had so many standout moments, floating through the straddled Jaeger, maintains the pressure in the overshoot. Beautiful position there on the low bar, winds up for the dismount, rises up, tiny scoot back, but 9.925 was the result for Cesario. Casey Brown, 9.875 was the ultimate score. The lesson here is patience. Watch how patient she is in the pack. Boom, floats it all the way up. Transitions back up to the high bar. Patience here. Let yourself swing, and right here, gets a little bit antsy, and then snaps her legs down, and then patience again. All right, so Casey Brown, let's see. That was 3 out of 4, exactly the right amount of patience she needed. So that final handstand will be a note for her moving forward.
See, Cesario has won both events so far, so I'm no math major, but she leads the all-around.
Yeah, and we mentioned her as part of that quartet of all-around threats. The beautiful thing about Cal Bears is you never know who it's going to be on a given day, but we want to see Ella continue that momentum. She leads the program off on beam and has hit that 9.9 number before in that slot.
And last year, that amazing run for Cal in the postseason, she hit 19 of her 20 routines. Around the ACC, there are 6 teams in the ACC. Cal, Clemson, NC State, UNC are in the ACC along with Stanford and Pitt. California will go to Raleigh next weekend to face off with NC State. They'll also have a meet, the big meet we'll have for you here on ACC Network with Stanford. Clemson will host Pitt, and then they'll go up to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And of course, the ACC championships will be in Greensboro. We were talking about earlier, NCAA regionals, 4 different regionals. Cal was a host last year. That was the last time the Bears were here at home, and they won that Cal regional. Bears en route to winning their first ACC duel against Clemson. Rotation number 3 coming up. Slight lead for Cal as we're about ready for the third rotation. Clemson getting ready on the floor. A reminder, next week you'll be able to catch the Golden Bears at NC State at Reynolds Coliseum in Raleigh, right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 7 Cal, number 22 NC State. Alex Perlman and Olympian Samantha Peshek on the call. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Now talking to Justin Howell, he was very excited to be on the ACC network.
Justin Howell loves to have a job, and if it's whether it's being on the ACC network or controlling the Beam music for his program, he takes that on fully. As we know, it is very established that Elizabeth Crandall Hall is a bit of a Beam mastermind, so it's important to see, even through any staff, even through co-head coaches, even through spouses, you see that division of power. You lean in, I lean out, whatever it takes. Cal is a great example of that.
I asked Justin, what's it like once the season starts? He said, you're drinking out of a fire hose. I mean, it is just all go all the time, but he loves it.
Yeah, that's a lot of times gymnastics. There's always something else. And we talked about Amy Smith's list earlier. I'm sure that's just a doctrine for most NCAA coaches. We're getting a look here at the gymnast who's been lights out so far today. It's Ella Cesario. Going to lead off the Bears on beam.
Yeah, 9-9 last week at that Davis quad. She won the event last week, and then it's the depth of Cal. She's won the bar, she's won the vault. Last week, she won the beam.
We'll see how she maintains that momentum and energy from vault to bars. Did a great job handling it, getting some words of wisdom from a fellow beam queen, Maya Lazon.
Had so many great performances last year. She had a 39.65 all around against Stanford. That was the 10th best score in the NCAA last year.
Amazing. Simple mount up onto the side of the beam. What Ella accentuates throughout the choreography and even the acrobatic skills, the length of her limbs, her ability to reach and project. First big test is going to come here. That handspring step out, layout step out, really solid through her core, right down the center of the beam. Tiny flicker of that front foot, but minimal. Switch leap, switch half. All important to hit 180 in those straddle and split positions. The back leg really rose up there for Ella. She looks settled, she looks confident, and fluid, rhythm, all of these additional things other than the skills. Setting up for the dismount here. 1.5 looks. Holds it. That was a lesson in NCAA dismounts this year. Zeroed in, really trusted her technique, had a tiny bend at the waist there, but maintained it, mitigated anything further.
Justin Howell talking about she's become a vocal leader for this team and just really key building the team up.
When beam can be that easy to talk about, it just is a testament to how confident they are in their skills. Coach Elizabeth Crandall Hall there at the end, always the first one, head on, clapping for her athletes.
And one of the all-time greats at BYU, Elizabeth Crandall Howell. Here's Lily Lippitz, a key performer for the Clemson Tigers on the floor.
Talked about how valuable she is with that elite experience, starting things off. We also talked about the avant-garde choreography choices that Amy Smith was known for as an athlete, and she's implementing that in this Clemson program as well. First pass for Lippit. Round off back handspring, double tuck. Able to take a single step back into that lunge position, but it's got to show control. It can't be too large. The other noticeable thing there, her front foot that needed to stay planted, minor scoot.
Last week at Pitt, had a 9.725 on the floor.
Shanova down to the floor. She puts up the peace sign. This choreography is quick, and I would describe it as zippy. Could use a tiny bit more projection through the rest of her upper body. Last pass here for Lippett. 1.5, front full. Controls it around, tiny bit off center. We talk about that all-important 9-8 number for Clemson. I would say that's going to flirt with that in the leadoff position.
Amy Smith, her coaching career started as a choreographer at Kentucky and Florida.
Another look here at the opening pass. She was a junior athlete who was known for a whip back full right into that double tuck. So a lot of years of experience with that first pass. Beautiful knee form. She maintains a tight tuck there.
Solid start for Cal on the beam with a 9-8. Here's Maddie Williams.
Judges coming out a little bit conservative with that number. As we talked through it, there really weren't that many evident opportunities to deduct. Tiny bit on the dismount. Maddie Williams, another artist up here on beam. But I really appreciate the variety in the choreography, the look, the overall aesthetic and feel between somebody like Cesario and Maddie Williams. The 180 split on that first split jump, textbook. Snaps that back leg down. I had a moment of a little bit of a delay for me, but we mentioned it with Ella. So tight through their core, trusting their training and basics, keeping everything fluid and moving. If there's one part of this routine that Maddie has sometimes doubted herself in the past, it's the dismount. You saw a tiny bit of that unfortunate doubt creep in right at the end. Hopefully in replay we see what those feet actually did. I think the gainer back handspring off the side was confident. Looking here though, that opening combination brings a leg around right into the split jump. Here's the series. Back leg comes down, really showing it off. Here's the dismount, all right. Kicks up, tiny bit of pike down, shifts back, and then that right foot actually scoots back. Couple notes on the dismount for Williams.
Maddie Williams, another special Cal athlete. She wants to become a pediatrician.
Look at that, pursuing excellence in everything, and that's another aspect of the program that the Hulls want to instill in their athletes.
Here's Maggie Holman.
Lily Lippett close to that 9-8 range, 9.775 in the books for the leadoff. We'll see how Holman handles and hopefully builds.
From Raleigh, North Carolina vault state champion, and last week had her first career win.
Front handspring, front double full, little extra juice, steps into the front lunge. Seeing some of that avant-garde choreography, and perhaps still in January, early in the season. We'll also look to see later on how these athletes settle in to performing. Even facially right now, taking good opportunity to smile, but could be projecting up and out. The other note for these first two performers is the carriage of their upper body. Very balletic, trained dancing, keeping everything there, but at the same time, a little bit too stiff. Want to see some movement, and I think we can expect that later in the lineup for Clemson. Holman with her next pass. Really fought for the rebound into the back layout, step out of the Rudy. Looking like endurance could be a factor at this point. Half crown to close for Holman. Like I said, gutsy performance to close on that last pass. Sometimes the timing of the floor doesn't quite bounce you as you would expect. Getting another look here. Pikes down in that Rudy. got a little bit anxious, didn't have to pike down like that. When she's closing her hips, that means her feet are coming to the floor faster and not getting the ultimate extent bounce up of the floor. Undoubtedly, Amy Smith having some words on that last pass.
So Maddie Williams got a 9.85. Here's Jordan Kane, the senior from Rhode Island.
Fan favorite Wolf turn to start. Jordan Kane has something to prove here. Uncharacteristic bars performance. Redemption beam can sometimes be angry beam, and unfortunately not there for Jordan. Actually, you saw in the first element a slight adjustment of her foot, kept things moving, but sometimes you already know what's going to happen. So here, it's a test of her will now. Perform the rest of this routine to the best of your ability. Floaty hitch kick into switch side. Can't tell if she's wincing. Definitely doesn't look like a totally comfortable day for Jordan Kane. Brings it home. Something definitely not normal for Jordan Kane. Puts that 1.5 down in a safe way. We'll keep you posted there, but there's a lot to be said for dealing through the adversity in real time. Standing back tuck here. The finish position is aggressive for Kane. Takes it here, cartwheel into the 1.5, tiny hop forward. Really breathing through it. And that's another, the mental aspect of this sport. Even in times of adversity or things not going your way, finding a space where you can control what you can control.
With a 9.625 on the floor for Maggie Holman. Here is Madison Minner, the walk-on from just up the road from Clemson in Anderson, South Carolina.
Important for Minner to create some momentum for this floor lineup. I would say Lily Lippett did exactly what they needed from them. Holman, a little bit of anxiety in that last pass.
The Motley Crew.
She's vibing out. I would say that front double twist opening, really great tight form in the air. Controls it to that front lunge. Great example of the movement, the pacing, matching the tempo of the music, connecting with it. Madison Minner closes things out. Rudy back layout, same last pass as Holman. Uses that bounce to finish, backspin. We know the folks at home love that one. So Minner, I would say through the tumbling, jumps and leaps, solid across the board, definitely provides what they needed in terms of getting the Tigers back on track.
Got a look here at Madison Minner's floor exercise.
Really great tight form. That's exactly how you want to do it. Last pass here, we'll talk about the timing. So the Rudy here, she not as much hip closure, allows her to use the bounce of the floor, get up much higher than Holman did before her. The 1 point on the choreography, though, is you see them working and projecting, I would say, some stiffness still with these Clemson athletes. So hopefully we're going to see that evolve over time in the season.
Yeah, Minner last year, she had a 9.9 on the floor against Air Force. You mentioned Anderson is where Clemson had to practice up until this year, 30 minutes each way. Here's one of the best in the country, MJ Frazier on the beam.
We talk about the opportunities to learn, and this is a A different situation than MJ Frazier probably expected, but definitely something that she is prepared to handle. 9.0 for Kane before her. But MJ has so many picture-perfect moments in this exercise. Full turn, stays on releve. That means she's up on her tippy toe on the beat, on the foot that's rotating on the beam, holds it there. Front aerial to layout back step out, keeps it moving. Intentional movement on balance beam is also a characteristic of performers who are so confident in what they're doing. It's almost like you're breathing mid-skill. Split leap, ring leap. Talked about picture perfect. Take your pick for MJ Frazier. Another opportunity for the Bears to right the ship. Cartwheel, 1.5. Shoulders tilted slightly behind the hips, and that was the resultant single pace back. Up on the apparatus, though, flawless from Frazier.
Frazier's gotten a 10 on the beam. She's the first ever Cal gymnast to get 10s on 2 different apparatuses.
Front aerial to the layout back step out. Drifted over just slightly to the right side on the front aerial, but kept it moving. No sweat for Frazier. Another look at the dismount there. Tiny step back, but again, the ball preceding you. Different situations call for different things. Safe one to her feet for Frazier, but exemplary poetry in motion up on the apparatus.
9.85 for Madison Minner, setting it up for Molly Arnold, one of the Utah State transfers, at a 9.7 on the floor last week against Pitt.
Huge for Minner to crack into that 9.85 range. Talked about creating that momentum. Important to see what Arnold does now. Starts with an E pass. It's a tuck full in. It's up off the air, rises up, but short of rotation. She was deep in her knees. Sprung up quickly, though.
Went to the NCAA championship last year as an individual on the floor as well as the vault.
The intricacies in the choreography are undeniable, and I do think it is just a matter of time. As with Clemson, we saw a matter of time in so many aspects for this program, and each season is new and unique, settling into what you're doing while you're performing out there. Final pass here, 2.5 punch front. Really love the spring on that. The technique in the 2.5 sets her up perfectly for that front tuck salto to end.
It floors the event where Clemson's looking to improve. They're top 25 in vault, bars, and beam floor. So far this year, they're 41, but again, it's early.
And Amy Smith was realistic about that. She called out the absence of Rebecca Wells and also Bree Clark having some early misses in the season. So she sees where they need to improve and how they can do it. 2.5 front tuck to close there. Little extra juice. Amy Smith, every movement right along with them.
She was the head coach at Utah State. She left to build the Clemson program. She said she's so grateful for the last 3 years. It's been the best professional experience of her life. It was a 9.875 for MJ Frazier. And here's Miles on.
This mount sequence, something to behold. That right there. So clutch. MJ Frazier with that 9.875. Getting things back on track after the 9.0 and building from the routines before them. So still all systems go for Cal. It's going to be a triple series, 3 elements. I can't swing step up, I can't swing step out, layout step out. for Lazan. She's happy with it. You saw the slightest shift in her hips. Kept moving through it, but it does indicate a little bit of tightness on that landing. You wouldn't know it for anything else other than a critical eye.
That was on first-team All-American last year on the beam.
So important look there. The switch leap had a deduction, that shoulder dip. So what that effectively does is breaks the connection. So she did those next two skills together as almost an insurance policy. Tiny blip on the radar of Lazan.
Hangs that double four up though.
And so you almost play these mathematical games with yourself as a gymnast. You obviously know when something isn't going quite according to plan, and then maybe you come in a little bit tighter with a little more focus. But this right here, watch this. Tiny shift right to get back. Not a great angle to see it from there, but this hangs it up, almost goes out of frame. A double full straight down. Watch it. Patient up there. Zeroes in. And I actually like how she's bringing those legs and feet a little bit closer than in years past. Before, she kind of got a really wide base and was able to always slide them together, but really appreciate rising to the newer level that Coach Liz Crandall told us. We didn't even think it would be there for Lazan, but she's somehow finding opportunities to do it.
A regional champion on the beam last year. Here's Eve Jackson with Don't Adjust Your ACC Network sound. That was the ESPN app sound we just heard at the start of her routine.
ESPN into Rihanna, only NCAA gymnastics. Here we go, looking to build off of that 9.825, another 9.8, over 9.8 number, and that first pass exemplary. Open, full twisting, double back.
And last year, Clemson came out to UCLA. She had a 9.925, her best on the floor. She loves competing in California.
Switch half, wolf full. Eve so far, that first E pass, executed really well, just like Minner did with her front double full. Gonna close things out, tuck front, steps out to a double tuck. Ever so slight bounce back, but appreciate her chest position, settling into that landing. Very nice ending there for Jackson.
I mean, you said only NCAA gymnastics. We had an ESPN sound, some Snoop, some Rihanna into the ESPN sounds.
The limit does not exist, truly. It's year over year. Expect the unexpected to come in, both on the competition floor and over the speakers. Front tuck step out here into the double tuck. Now watch for the landing. You can take one step back, both feet clearly moving, but maintains it. Again, it's about making it as small of a deduction as possible. Talking there with Rebecca Wells.
Mentioned earlier, Eve's uncle, Deshaun Jackson, one of the best football players of all time.
Here we go with Kyan Mayhew. She's one of those athletes who's evolved into this lineup spot. Did not start her competitive career on balance beam, but Elizabeth Crandall Hall thrilled with the progress she's made. Back handspring step out, layout step out. Saw that right shoulder drift ever so slightly. Maintained tightness through her core, kept things on.
She had a 9.825 last week at UC Davis on the beam. That's her best career score.
In her movement so far, I'm seeing a little bit of tentative motion. But drills that 1.5. And that was a pressure set for the sophomore who's newer to this beam lineup. So very respectable. She's following, again, another unexpected number there. The 9.65 has been posted for Lazan, and I believe where that came into play was the leap and jump combination. Mayhew, though, handling it well, so the Bears taking some notes away from Beam. Lessons to be learned, things to be gained, undoubtedly.
They'll update the Mayhew score, and Cal will probably take a slight lead over Clemson. You see that total score on our score tower on the bottom. Here's Bree Clark, who's one of the most exciting on the floor in the country.
Bree Clark attempted a Biles 2 on-floor exercise early in the season, missed it then. She's gone back to the double layout, was short in warm-ups, not in competition. Maintains the extension there. The party is up.
All ACC on the floor last year. She's gone as high as 9.95 on the floor.
We talk about the comparison and contrast between even the same schools lineups, moving with a little bit more freedom, projecting, moving, getting our whole body involved. Great to see at the close of this Clemson lineup. Important to close here with an exclamation point for Clark. Front layout, front full, front tuck. With those combination passes, you want to see the progression. You want to see things rise bigger and bigger. It was dynamic, and her form in the air was impeccable. Great close for Clemson.
And she was the Mountain Rim Gymnast Conference freshman and floor specialist of the year back in 2022 at Utah State with Amy Smith as her head coach.
Really thrilled with it. And with those 9-8 numbers that haven't been so familiar with Clemson thus far this season on floor, really great to see her kind of embrace the moment and go for broke. Like I said, in the warm-up, that double layout came in significantly short. In the meet, night and day. Amy Smith has got to be happy with what she's seeing on floor today.
You think you'll end up with 4 9.8s or better there?
Yes. Abby Scanlon here in the exhibition, and if history repeats itself, you know, Cal exhibitions here have been having a day of their own.
Annalise Newman-Ash had a 9.85 on exhibition. On the bars, Maya Wiley had a 9.85 on the vault. How about that for Cal Dem?
Back handspring step out, layout step out for Scanlon. Super secure. I like the variety in her movement. She's changing up the rhythm, changing up the pace, drawing the judges in. Switch leap, switch half. This is great work for Scanlon. She's had exhibition opportunities so far this season, really proving herself, working up to that lineup. Just such a feat for anyone on this Cal team. Round off 1.5 dismount. Stoked on it. I'm not sure if we got a tiny foot movement or not. Coach Elizabeth Crandall Hall was right overhead to get the first hug there. But needless to say, Scanlon is thrilled with that performance.
I'm sure Amy Smith and Clemson thrilled with the number for Bree Clark. She got a 9.9 on the floor. A very strong floor from Clemson.
First 9.9 of the season unofficially for Clemson in my book here. That's great to see.
Trinity Brown, exhibition performer here for Clemson. What's it like to perform exhibition?
Exhibition, it's all what you make of it. It's simultaneously the opportunity and the challenge. Trinity Brown with that double pike in the leadoff pass for her routine, very confident. Having some fun, creating these moments with the crowd and to interact with her teammates. But I would say the carriage, the upper body carriage, it's still coming off stiff. So you want to see them relax into it a little bit. And intensity, though, is undeniable in this performance from Brown. side half straddle jump. Clemson loves putting in that tuck jump full, tighty and tight. Kennedy Brown, front tuck through the double tuck. Great rise. Leaves the chest down just ever so slightly on that last pass, but that's a great option for Clemson to have. And when you're have athletes going out there, I would say it'll be important to see how the judges react and respond to those exhibition routines. Sometimes you're seeing something for the first time from an athlete, and so you need to be able to work that in and know what you can strategize with.
And Trinity Brown, when she was at Utah State, she had a 9.925, so a great option for Amy Smith going forward. We're done with 3 rotations. Clemson, they've tightened it up. As we look at the Bay Bridge, you take that to get from San Francisco here to Berkeley and get to duel number 1 in the ACC for Cal. Beautiful day on the campus of Cal Berkeley in UC Berkeley in Northern California. The Cal Bears leading Clemson into rotation number 4. Reminder, Monday, the Huddle crew will reveal the 2025 ACC football schedule. They'll break down each team and look at key weeks and specific matchups. Coverage of this 2-hour special begins at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on the ACC Network, the ESPN app, and we'll also have the first hour for you on ESPN2. Game day was here this year on UC Berkeley. Here's Eve Jackson, one of the best performers for Clemson. And Eve Jackson, this is not the first time she's been here to Strawberry Canyon. That is her a little bit smaller with her uncle, Deshaun Jackson, when he had, remember those baggy shorts he used to wear back in the day? And then also Deshaun, when he was a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Really special for her to come and compete here at Haas Pavilion for Eve Jackson.
Did a great performance on floor exercise, really settling into that rotation, 9.825. We talked about how crucial those 9.8 plus numbers were going to be for Clemson to build on that momentum and confidence. The athletic genes, undeniable in the Jackson family.
It's gotten a little tight here as we head to the last rotation. Cal on the floor, Clemson on the beam after this on the ACC Network. Looking back at that third rotation, Madison at a 9.85 for the Clemson Tigers.
Undeniable tumbling prowess from Minner. We're going to take another look, her front double full, look at the leg form. Beautiful control there, showed us a different style of choreography. That intensity carried through the final pass. The Rudy into layup, back step out. Tiny bit off kilter, but a backspin, also undeniable.
Maddie Williams, 9.85 for Cal on the beam.
You talk about those snapshot moments for anyone on the Cal beam lineup. Maddie Williams gave us a lot today. Right into the dismount, tiny slight hike down, scoot and a shift back, but righted the ship.
And another stellar performance from MJ Frazier in her Cal career. She had a 9.875 here on the beam.
Yeah, this was exemplary, typical work from Frazier. The cartwheel, 1.5 dismount. Again, tiny flip on the radar for Cal.
Final rotation, great crowd on hand. Haas Pavilion here in Northern California. Another gorgeous day. For me, Evan, it's a little bit cold here in Northern California in the 40s and 50s. Everywhere else in the country, they're watching saying, what are you talking about? But for us Northern California people, we're a little bit spoiled.
You've been out of Syracuse far too long, it seems, because this is, crisp but beautiful. I describe to my Midwestern family, spring every day. Doesn't sound like a bad thing.
Evan, a great gymnast for the Michigan Wolverines back in the day. Proud alum. Still buzzing about that national championship last year in football.
Go Blue.
All right, here we go. Fourth rotation. Cal, national runners-up last year. Mentioned it earlier. They started gymnastics in 1974 at Cal. Last year was their best season ever. After their best season ever in 2023. Clemson, this is year number 2. Amy Smith told me the story about how she got hired. She was at Utah State. She was on the bus going to the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference Championships in Boise from Ogden to Boise back in 2022. Got a call from a number she didn't recognize. didn't answer it. Got a text. I want to talk to you about an opportunity. Ended up being a hiring firm. She had an hour-and-a-half Zoom with Clemson. Next thing she knew, she was in Clemson, South Carolina, a 13-and-a-half-hour interview. And here she is with year 2, team 2, and Lily Lippett.
Lily Lippett getting things started as she has on 2 other events so far today, has delivered on her job. Tiny bit tilted over on that front aerial, kept things moving into the back handspring swing down. That relentless training that elite gymnastics brings, almost as a welcome relief for the NCAA style and approach to things. Split leap, really great extension there. Side aerial, tiny bit of hip closure, but obviously the technique she's used to using works well out of it. Full turn, slightly overcooked, but all of these minor adjustments that I'm pointing out, Lily is handling so well, keeping that upper body tight all the way through the core. Gainer front full off the side. Another skill that we're starting to see become popularized in the NCAA scene. One note there though, just as we expect from the gainer full when it goes backwards, the lift is still important when you're going forwards, all right. Split leap, straddle half, gets those shoulders and hips in line. Right here, you want to see it rise up just ever so slightly. I would say that one, the direction was right at the floor, but thrilled with it. I mean, the table setter, exactly what Coach Amy Smith and her teammates want from Lily Lippett.
Yeah,
She's delivered all day.
She was telling us about the culture she wanted to instill. And the first word she brought up with us about Clemson, the community, is grit. And she wants that in her team. Kyan Mayhew out there for the Bears, leading things off on the floor.
The Bears have some work to do. Only a .25 cushion over the Tigers going into this last rotation. I'm not sure that that's what they expected, but they're going to need to go big here on floor. Mayhew usually lets this first pass fly big. Front double full, front pike. Well controlled into the lunge.
And she scored a 9-9 on floor in the NCAA championship final.
One strategic decision that I like as it applies to Kyan Mayhew is that she had this same routine last year as a freshman. So it allows her the opportunity to settle into the performance quality, find those moments of connection and refinement. Pass routine for Kyan. She's setting up for the final one here. Round off 1.5, front half, stag leap. Great control and performance quality from Kyan Mayhew. Just like Lily Lippett over on beam, I don't think Cal will have any notes on what they wanted her to offer them in that leadoff spot.
Yeah, look at the first pass here.
It's a running punch double full into a front pike, and she has more than enough power on that second element. It rises up appropriately. 1.5, layup Randy. Look at the flare, the openness of the hips into the double stag leap. Tremendous from Mayhew.
Sophomore from Mesa, Arizona. Yeah, 9-9 on the vault in the NCAA final. Can you imagine that as a freshman, 2 9-9s in the NCAA final last year?
It's exactly how you want to peak, and it's a testament to the strategy of the season. Getting those competitive reps under your belt, building toward something better and better.
Lippett, a 9.75. And here is Bree Clark, one of the 6 Utah State transfers from Daphne, Alabama.
Bree Clark wants to use some of that momentum and energy she captured on floor exercise. Starts off with a standing front. Slight adjustment on the landing of that. Back handspring layout. Lots of difficulty on display so far Flicker through her hips on the landing of the layout step out. Aggressive, quick full turn. Switch leap, straddle quarter. You can look at how she approaches her skills, and you see the snap of her wrists after every element, setting herself up to take another breath, think about the next thing. And she thought about that Rudy dismount and zeroing in on the landing. We saw it right there in practice. Amy Smith happy with that one in the second spot. Another look at Clark on the beam. Layout step out. Saw that hip on the left side shift over. Dismount here, emphatic and beautiful tight form through the knees, ankles, and feet. Solid lift, and doesn't do an unnecessary pike down to get to the floor faster.
And she had a
Great work.
She had 9-9 on the floor, and very strong on the beam. Here's Maddie Williams after the 9.875 from Mayhew.
We talk about the variety that Cal showed, even through their beam choreography and element choice. This is another great compare and contrast moment from Mayhew to Williams in this lineup. Needs to press in on this landing of the Rudy. Straight up and down, great chest position. The other intentional thing we see through this choreography, and Maddie has struggled with that double wolf in the past. I would say that was a gutsy execution today, safely around to the double, is the repetition, the subtleties in the choreography, similar movements used in different places. Switch half, split leap, achieving that 180 comfortably, great angle. Williams closing it out, 1.5, front layout, rises up. Nails it for Williams in the second slot.
She had a historic season last year. Third most points scored ever in a single season, and she's had a strong start to 2025.
Watch here, this first pass, it's the front layout into the Rudy. Tiny adjustment on the front foot, but I appreciate how straight up and down she was. This last pass, oh, that front layout takes her breath away with the arm position. That is finesse. Coach Liz Crandall-Howell talks about making intentional choices to make the ordinary extraordinary. She wants that implemented in every movement and skill her athletes do.
Danica Nielsen, freshman from Gilbert, Arizona. She's been a beam specialist at a career best 9.8 at UCLA. And here we go with her performance.
Bree Clark, that all-important 9.8 threshold number achieved for Clemson in the second spot. Cat leap, would love to see a bit more dynamics, but the switch leap, the back leg on that, wow, great for Nielsen. Setting up for the series here. Flick, flick, lay. Tiny bit of hesitation as she snapped into that final landing position, but very square on the beam. Another cat leap, leaving a bit to be desired, but the acro element, solid side aerial. Settling in here is Nielsen. Again, the momentum is important for Clemson. That's a lesson to learn. How do we keep those scores building? Round off 1.5 dismount, brought her chest and chin forward just a little bit right as her rotation was stopping. And that's what we can expect to see was the resultant hop forward. Controls it well and stayed on the apparatus and on her feet. Flick, flick, lay, straight down. See the cat leap there. Could just add a little bit of dynamism. Slight waver through her core. And right here, looks back, finishes, and brings that head forward. Tiny hop ensues. Clemson's got to be happy with that one. Breath of relief. Always something left on the floor. Here's a shift.
And Clemson was happy with that. Real quick, Maddie Williams with a 9-9.
This is huge for CJ Kunicki. Was originally going to exhibition, but in the competitive lineup for the second time this season.
She had a 9.825 at that Sprout squad that you talked to the Cal coaches and the Cal athletes. They said it felt like the national championship going out there on ABC.
Running front double full front pike, same first pass as Kyan Mayhew. I would say CJ was a bit more dynamic than Kyan in there, but was rotating a little bit different through the air. Still same controlled landing.
And CJ's mom, Kelly, a gymnast at
University of Michigan. One and a half, front half into the jump. Exact same construction notably as Mayhew. You find those passes for certain athletes that work, and you're able to push each other in the gym through those elements. From her first performance to this, I notice a difference in the performance quality. She is getting comfortable in Haas Pavilion.
Let's take another look at her first pass.
Let's take a look at it here as the team rallies behind. Important test for the true freshman. Punches up. Look at how much ground she covers. Gets that last bit of the twist right in, and the front pike is just easy money at that point. She's thrilled with it.
Okay, great point. This is her first appearance here at Haas Pavilion. So another nice number for Clemson on the beam. Yannicka Nielsen got a 9.8.
Into that crucial 9.8 range. Excellent to see.
There's a sophomore from North Carolina, Sierra Church, who had a 9.925 at North Carolina last year on the beam, had a 9.85 last week at Pitt.
Look at that opening. We talk about the variety of skills, making yourself stand out. This extension and flexibility. Wow, from Sierra Church. Almost reminiscent of an SEC great, Isabella Magnelli of Kentucky. Same carriage and presentation. Really like this work. Unfortunate there for Church. The choreography, the little things were breathtaking. Didn't quite get her back foot on in that layout back step out. We'll see how she recovers here. Switch leap, split leap. Side aerial, aggressive through that connection and finish of the element. The sharpness, the crispness. She's creating her brand of gymnastics, and you see the momentum, the flow. It's truly the ebb and the flow of the routine, giving us variety. Sets up for the dismount, round off 1.5. Does the right thing, eases into it, wants to give herself time to settle into that dismount, but didn't finish the rotation of the flip enough, so the shoulders were left behind. Quickly looking at the fall there, and yeah, even through the first element, was way off. Still gutsy to go for that. Second there. Really liked that combination here. And right here, we'll get a look. Tries to settle in, but just short of rotation, scoots back for Church.
How do you lock back in after a fall?
It's easier said than done, for sure, and it depends on the athlete. Some people are short-term memory folks. Other people are motivated by, that kind of revenge, or that's not what I want to show. But on the flip side of things, you have athletes who are having a day like Ella Cesario. She's been all gas, no brakes. and I really want to see the same in this first pass.
And she's won the bars and she's won the vault here in rotation 4.
Full in.
I would actually say a tiny bit tentative in comparison to what we've seen from Ella in the past. Came up short, step forward. That will be a deduction, but nothing major at this point.
And by the way, it was a 9-9 for Kenneke.
Switch ring half, gorgeous position. Footwork, the little things. Ella will look for a strong finish. Remember, it came up short in that first pass. 1.5 front layout. So floaty, so secure. Great day for Ella Cesario. 4 for 4. In that quartet of all-arounders, she's establishing herself as a threat amongst the others.
Here's her first pass on that floor routine.
Watch right here. We'll take a look at the takeoff. Was good. Yeah, hard to describe what was short of rotation on that one. Could have pulled her legs a little bit harder, but maintains. Got to deal with that sometimes. And that last pass, exactly what you want to see. Just like Maddie Williams before her.
So Clemson Church with the fall ends up with a 9-1-5. And here is Kylan McCreitz.
Kylan here, big opportunity following the fall of Sierra Church. Sets up for the full turn. Moving quick and aggressive. Back handspring, step out, layout, step out. She's fighting, but also fully extending through her legs on each of those skills. Showing off the flexibility, giving herself a moment to breathe as well. From Church to McCreight, really enjoying the variety and presentation in these elements. Giving herself a little breather after that tuck jump full. Harkening back to a different era of gymnastics. Love seeing, again, that variety of skills and that choice made for her routine composition. Side aerial into the split leap. Excellent for McCreight here. Giving herself some time for some choreography, some fun. Locking back in. Setup is a bit long between a couple of her elements, but nails the gainer back full. No doubt on that landing. If I had to be critical, which, surprise folks, here it is. Hip closure. Want to see that full extension, and she can achieve that by kicking up further right before that dismount. But everything here, the crispness, the variety, all the way through the fingertips. Getting another look at that side aerial, beautiful split position, and carries it right through to that split jump. Talking about the setup for her skills now, it's everything when she stops moving ahead of the dismount. Right here, 1 gymnastics, 2 gymnastics, and she says, Evan, stop counting. I'm about to stick this thing.
Yeah, she was all ACC last year, in the first year of the ACC women's gymnastics. I know everybody around the country is so excited for now year 2 of ACC gymnastics.
What a way to start. And, you know, I just echo what Coach Smith said. The level is raising, means everybody's got to get better.
Cesario, 9.85. Here's MJ Frazier.
MJ coming back to her full form early this season. Won't be her full floor difficulty on display today, but the tuck front, through the tuck double back, so secure. We saw her back flexibility on full display throughout the beam routine. Also going to be evident here in her leaps and jumps. The ring position in that. Wow, the back leg. Frazier looking to bring it home strong. Smart choreography to breathe a bit. Needs to be patient as she uses the floor to bounce up. 1.5. Front full. Ekes that full twist around. We'll see her feet on replay, but that's a veteran move for Frazier.
Last year, Frazier set the record for Cal all-around 39.825. I'm sure she'll be pretty happy to be told that her Eagles beat that number with 55 points. They're going to the Super Bowl.
Tim, the gym internet says, who? What? Back to MJ Frazier. Front tuck step out through to that double tuck. Plants it down, and let's watch right here. The rotation of the full twist. Yeah, I think maybe like an 1/8 of a rotation, tad short. You think about your kneecaps facing the exact direction you want to finish. I don't think it'll be an issue for the judges, but great for Frazier. And Cal's momentum, they're not letting up here. We said the meet was closer than they likely expected going into the fourth rotation, and they've been going after it.
So McCrite had a 9.85. Here's Quinn Cool.
Yeah, great to see McCrite rewarded appropriately, and Quinn Cool, another opportunity to show all that hard work in the off and preseason. 3-element series, and Tim, you'll notice it was the culmination. It was one skill, another skill, and the flourish at the end. Really great example of the momentum there.
Cool, at a 9.825 last week at Pitt on the beam. That's her career best score.
And as the series was exemplary, the switch leap was short of 180. It's all about balance and the variety of skills, meeting the requirements that you're mandatory within a routine's composition. Sitting up here for a dismount. Will be a round off. Tucked 1.5. Safely around to her feet to close out the day for the Tigers. On the road at Haas for the first time. Second look here. Yeah, this is a great highlight. Great extension through her legs. It's the crescendo, if you will. Tucked 1.5, comes around the side, so slightly with that round off. Indicative of just rushing the timing a little bit, but she knows exactly where she is, what she needs to do. Tiny hop forward for Quinn Cool, and the pressure was on. It was a 9.15 earlier in the lineup, so saves the day.
We get that score. It's going to be the best score for Clemson this year. 195.5 was their best so far this year at Pitt, so they're going to have a season high.
Yeah, unofficial to, again, build the momentum of your season. Exactly what you want to do, especially on the road.
And Frazier got a 9.9.
Maya Lazan can blow the roof off of Haas. I love her aggression on this first pass. Front handspring. Front double full, front tuck. She's getting good at that one. It's like the chest of Lazan landing. Refuses to move the feet there. Bears currently sitting in a 49.425 already on floor. Switch ring, switch half. Malazan can bring this one home. She's going to close with the same pass we saw from MJ Frazier. You'd stay patient after the 1.5. Front full, move straight out of it. Great day to close for Maya Lazan. Some notes for Cal for sure, but moments of joy as well.
And Maya Lazan, 10th in the country coming into the weekend on the floor, and she hit her performance.
Front double full, front full, watch that. See, the shoulders are back, uses that back flexibility. Final pass here, let's take a look. Doesn't rise up to the level. I think she was a little rushed after that 1.5, but the front full so crisp and tight and right into the choreography, as I mentioned. Big hug there from Abby Scanlon, who had a great exhibition earlier today on balance beam.
All right, so the Clemson final score has come through, 196-225.
Saw it in the books. They crossed that threshold. Like we said, we saw them cross the 9-8 threshold, and this is going to be the result when you do that during the meet. Over 196 for the first time this season.
So the final Cal numbers coming through. We'll give you the final numbers in just a moment. The first ever ACC dual meet here in Berkeley. We'll give you the final totals and numbers in just a moment. This is ACC Gymnastics on the ACC Network. The final score here from Berkeley. Cal wins their first ever dual meet in the ACC over number 24 Clemson, along with former Division I gymnast Evan Hyder. I'm Tim Swartz. We just saw the numbers. Anything stand out for you looking at those numbers for California starting out?
The roller coaster that we were on, and I know the Bears felt it as well. Solid through vault, bars crescendo. Hit a peak 49.4, and then beam obviously sub 49. Not the typical things we can expect from the Bears, but managed and maintained. But then an exclamation point at the end there. Over 49.4 again on floor. We see that there are lessons to learn for Cal today, and I think they're going to take those powerfully into the future.
Yeah, the great news for Cal, El Cesario was outstanding, and the all-around was just so solid for the Bears.
Yeah, Ella, we momentum from the first event within a 0.025 of perfection for this Yurchenko full, hangs it way up, gives herself time, space, energy to see the landing. Very nice for Cesario. And despite the technical blips, she kept things moving over on bars. The leg form so tight through that release combination.
Yeah, those purples or pink screens, not by design. It was a 9.925 on the bars for Ella.
Here on beam as well. Love the aggression. She opens that 1.5 way up. Tiny adjustment to get herself righted, but big thing on floor was this 1.5 front layout to close. She's got to be happy with it. It's a 9.85 for her day there. 39.475 in the all-around for Ella. We mentioned, off the top, those 4 all-arounders, and it was a coin toss. It was multiple coin toss to see which one was going to come out on top today. It's Cesario. Just a testament to the training across the board that the Bears do for their all-arounders.
Yeah, on the other side, for Clemson, they have their best score this year, and I think going back to the East Coast, Amy Smith's got to feel pretty good about the performance from her Tigers.
Exactly. They're on the road. They're far from home. It's not an easy trip, and we saw them learning in real time. They had elements that they weren't necessarily planning. Obviously fall is happening across some events, but they righted the ship when they needed to, and they've got to be happy crossing over into 196 territory.
It was full weekend. All the ACC teams were facing off with each other. This is a look at next weekend. Anything kind of shine for you in terms of what to look forward next weekend and then going forward in the ACC?
I mean, you see all these ranked teams here right in this graphic. That just speaks to the level of competition that we're seeing week in and week out of the ACC. Keep your eyes on Stanford. Keep your eyes on NC State.
And Cal was picked to win the ACC. Stanford, NC State, all the teams are very good. Here are your event winners.
It's amazing. Look at that. Vault, bars, bead here for MJ Frazier, and that 9-9 party for 5 gymnasts on floor.
Well, any final thoughts before we sign off, Evan?
Lessons learned. Obviously, both teams having to deal with things that they weren't necessarily planning to come into their atmosphere today. And it's still January. Atmosphere this season, lots of experience still to be gained in 2025.
Well, for Evan Heiner and our entire crew, I'm Tim Swartz. Make sure to tune in next Sunday, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on the ACC Network for more women's gymnastics as Cal takes on NC State in Raleigh, North Carolina. To watch the entire duel on replay, as well as all of your ACC events on ACC Network Extra, download the ESPN app. So long for Northern California and Berkeley.